Alright guys, my name is Shervin. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about the average savings of Canadians by every age. Now, I recently made a video where we looked at the average income of Canadians by every age, but I would argue it is even more important to see how much the average Canadian is saving. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about how much money you make, it's about how much you get to keep. And to put it very simply, the more money you save and invest, the better of a financial position you're going to be in. And especially, it is very important that as you get closer to retirement, you have enough money saved up that you can have a comfortable retirement. So if you watch to the end of the video, you're going to find out exactly how much money the average Canadian is saving by every age and how much the experts recommend that you're saving by every age. So that then you can use that information to see how you are doing right now, and you also will have a roadmap to follow in the coming years. And of course, all that I ask for in return is that if you're new to my channel and you enjoy this video, make sure to smash the subscribe button down below and join the community and make new videos about personal finance and investing on a regular basis. And by subscribing to the channel, you get to see all my new videos right as they come out. Also, if you enjoy the video and want to support me even more, then do me a favor and smash the like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. But alright, with all that said, let's get right into it. Now, for those who are in their 20s, experts recommend that you make sure you have at least 6 months worth of your expenses saved up as an emergency fund. Now, of course, some people in their 20s are still in school, some are living with their parents, some have moved out and have a job. It varies quite a bit from person to person, and of course, 6 months worth of your expenses is going to be very different if you're living at home with your parents or if you're living on your own. Now, it is very tough to pinpoint what the average savings of people in their 20s are because, again, everyone is in a different place. I actually did a lot of research to find a reliable number, but the best that I could find is that some sources are saying it's somewhere around $11,000 and some other sources are saying it's somewhere around $14,000. So let's just call it somewhere from $10,000 to $15,000 is the average savings of someone in their 20s. Now, when we talk about savings, that includes everything from cash in your bank account, retirement savings, investments. But don't confuse this with net worth, because net worth also includes all your assets, like if you have a home or a car, and you would have to also deduct any liabilities, like any loans that you have. So just to be super clear, when we say savings, we're not talking about net worth, and we're not just talking about the cash that you have in your bank account. We're talking about your cash, your retirement savings, and your investments. Now, when we talk about the emergency fund, you want to make sure you have 6 months worth of your expenses in cash in a high interest savings account. But anything that you have more than that in your 20s, feel free to invest that money or put it in a retirement account. Now, when you're in your 30s, experts recommend that you save up at least 1 time your annual salary. Again, this number is going to be different from person to person. If you make $50,000 a year, you should be saving $50,000. If you make $200,000 a year, you should be saving $200,000. So whatever your annual salary is, aim to have at least the same amount when you add up your cash, investments, and retirement accounts. Now, after you have saved up at least 6 months worth of your expenses in an emergency fund in a high interest savings account, from that point onwards, experts recommend that you save up at least 15% of your income, and out of that 15%, you want to put at least half of that in your retirement accounts. And again, just to be clear, these are the bare minimum numbers. If you can, you want to save even more. Because like I mentioned at the top of the video, wealth building isn't just about how much you make, it's also about how much you get to keep. And it is no secret that the more you save and invest, the more wealthy you're going to be. But again, aim to at least at the bare minimum save 15% of your income and put at least half of that in a retirement account. Now, the average savings of Canadians in their 30s is $59,000, out of which $40,000 is in a retirement account and $19,000 is outside of a retirement account. So basically, if you are in your 30s and you have more than $59,000 saved up and invested into long-term low-risk investments, then you are ahead of the average Canadian. And of course, if you are not close to any of these numbers, then this is your wake-up call. If you are living paycheck to paycheck and you barely have any savings or investments, now is the time to change it. Now is the time to get a better job or a promotion that gives you more money. Now is the time to look for a side hustle to make some money on the side. Now is the time to make sure you go through your budget and see how you can limit your spending and control your spending as much as possible. These are things that every single person can do, and if you make even a little bit of a difference, it's going to add up in the long term. So for all my viewers in their 30s, if there's one thing you take away from this video, is that if you're not at these numbers, then you're falling behind, and now is the time to make a correction before you fall behind even more. Particularly if you haven't started a family yet or you don't have anyone that relies on you, now is the time to make these changes because it is going to be almost impossible later on. Now, once you get in your 40s, experts recommend that you save up at least 3 times your annual salary. And if you look at the average savings of Canadians in their 40s, it is $126,000, $90,000 of which is in retirement accounts and $36,000 outside of retirement accounts. Now, your 40s is going to be your prime. This is probably where you make the most money you ever will. Because when you're in your 20s, maybe you're still in school, or maybe you're just getting your first job and you're not that experienced. In your 30s, you're probably doing better. You've probably got a promotion or you've changed jobs to something that pays more. But your 40s is the peak of your career. And this is where you're going to be making a ton of money because you're experienced. You're someone who's been around the block. You know exactly what you're doing. And of course, you're still not old enough to be physically restricted, at least not yet. So at this point, it is extremely important to make sure you ramp up your saving and investing as much as possible. Now, of course, the only downside is that at this point, you probably already have a family and people who rely on you. So there's going to be a lot of costs associated with that. You probably have to save for kids' college. You probably have to spend a lot on kids in general. But of course, if you have already made all the corrections that you needed to make in your 30s, hopefully at this point, you're on autopilot, you're saving automatically. You're not even thinking about spending more than you have to. And again, as long as you consistently save at least 15% of your income and put at least half of that in a retirement account, you're going to be fine. Now, once you get into your 50s, experts recommend that you save up at least 6 times worth of your annual salary. And in fact, the average savings of Canadians in their 50s is $350,000, out of which $60,000 is outside of retirement accounts and $290,000 is inside retirement accounts. Now, if you have hopefully been investing all your money in your retirement accounts into low risk and long-term investments such as the S&P 500, by this point, you should be seeing the fruits of your labor in your 20s and 30s because of compound growth. And essentially, all the money that you contributed back in your 20s and 30s by this point have grown significantly, which is why if you look at the numbers from each age group, they are going up in an exponential manner. And of course, you are also expected to earn more as you get older because of the higher experience that you have. Now, of course, this age group is going to be different from person to person. Some people may decide to retire early because they're way ahead of the curve, whereas maybe some others didn't save enough during their 30s and 40s and they're trying to catch up. It is definitely going to be different from person to person, but as long as you're beating these numbers, you should be good. Now, last but not least, we got to talk about your 60s, and by this point, most people are going to retire. Now, of course, retirement doesn't mean that you have to stop working completely, but it does mean that you can take a step back. Maybe you don't have to work full time anymore. Maybe you start working part-time, or maybe you focus more on stuff that you are passionate about. But in order to have that flexibility and make sure you have that financial freedom to do whatever you want, you have to have enough money saved for retirement. Now, experts recommend that you have somewhere from 8 to 10 times worth your salary saved up in your 60s. In fact, the recommendation is that you have 10 times worth your salary saved by the age of 67. And if you look at what the average Canadian has saved at this age range, it's $446,000 saved, with $69,000 of that being outside of a retirement account. Now, even though this may look like a super huge number for some of you, as long as you have been saving and investing on a regular basis throughout your career, this should be a very achievable number for every single Canadian out there. So just to quickly summarize, these are the numbers that experts recommend you have saved and invested by each age. And I would highly advise every single one of you to take a look at the numbers that are being recommended for your age group and see how you are doing compared to that. Because if you are behind the curve, that's okay, but just realize that now is the time to make the change. And the truth of the matter is that if you are going off course, the sooner you start riding the ship, the easier it is going to be to arrive at your desired destination. Now, as I mentioned before, I have also made an entire video about the average income of Canadians by every age. And if you're interested in checking that video out, I'll leave a link to it right here. But then that's about it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. I post there regularly, so if you want to be a part of it there, make sure to follow me there. Also, if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we talked about in this video, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. I always respond to every single question that comes in. And now with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.